Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I am with Sarah doing the card making for Scrapbookers series. If you guys have not seen this before, we do a card making video every month that features a different product. This month we're doing Vellum and I hope you guys are excited. I have a couple different ideas for some Halloween cards, and I know this is a little bit timely because tomorrow's Halloween, but these cards can work for any occasion. Now I actually pulled out my wood stamps here. These are those little packs you can get at like Michael's or Joann's during the seasonal holidays, and they also make them for different icons, like they make summer ones, they make Easter ones, those kind of things. So I pulled these out in 3 different inks. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is creating like these custom pattern backgrounds with these stamps. So I'm pulling out a black ink, a green ink from Ranger, and then I have an orange ink, which originally I pulled out this Hampton Arts one, but it was too juicy to use for this project, so I ended up going for a Tim Holtz carved pumpkin color instead. So for this one, I'm going to be doing a multitude of images. I have the witch's hat, I have this one that's Fright Night, and then I also have the little pumpkin. Now when you're doing these, there's so many different options you could do. You could stamp them all in the same color, you could stamp each image in a bunch of different colors, you could stamp each image in one color like I'm doing here. And why we're making these crazy patterns is so that we can layer vellum with them and they become a little bit less busy. For this one, I'm just going to use a bunch of different colors with the same image. So here I start with the bats all in black, wipe off my stamp with my Lawn Fawn chamois, and then do it with orange and green. And I want this one to be super messy, and you'll see in the close-ups that there's smudges. There's all sorts of stuff. These don't have to be perfect stamping, which if you're into perfect stamping, which I know some people try to make it really, really nice to make sure that it looks really nice, but for this technique, you don't really need to do that. For this scaredy cat, I decided to do a diagonal pattern, and you can see on this stamp particularly, I had a lot of mess-ups with the stamping sides. So I decided to come in with a Dilutions ink and an October Afternoon Sprinklers, and I have a green and orange, and I'm going to add splatters. I thought that would be fun and different to do on one of these, and it's a little bit more mixed media. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can do this with watercolors, lots of options. And you can also do this technique with stickers. I know a lot of us buy those sticker packs that have a lot of the same images, or those sticker books that come with like a million stars or a million of an image you don't need. You can add a bunch of those to a background, put some vellum over it like we're going to do today, and it's going to work out great. So for this one, I decided to do different lines of the same stamp, but in different color waves. And this is the Fright Night stamp. I really like this one. And now that we have all of those stamped, we're going to start turning them into cards. So I already have card bases cut, which are at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when they're folded in half. But for now, I'm going to cut the vellum down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 as well to make sure that I have a piece for each card, even though it might not necessarily stay that size. So for this first one, I score my card there, and I realize my hands are incredibly green and orange at this point, which I think is kind of funny. But here's where the fun part starts. I start going through my Halloween supplies, which I have an absolute ton of them. And I pulled out these elements, which actually a wonderful friend sent me in a pocket page letter last year, and I finally got to use them. I used these beautiful pieces. This one's a glitter wood veneer that says Happy Halloween. And this one's a little ghosty. So I put him on foam adhesive so he goes well. And when working with vellum, I know a lot of people ask this question about where you put the adhesive since it is transparent. For this card, I put the elements on the vellum first and then glued the vellum on because I could put the adhesive right where I knew it would be behind those elements. But another way you can do it is with vellum adhesive. They do sell those on the market, which I don't think I've ever experienced, but I hear they're wonderful. So you can always give those a try. Here I pulled out this scrap piece of green polka dot paper from my Halloween paper stack and a doodlebug doily because they're my absolute favorite. And I'm going to create a cluster on the front. This is a great way to add a lot of adhesive to the back of a vellum piece is by doing another layer of paper on top. But by having this vellum, what we're going to do is essentially tone down the background images that we had stamped earlier. Now this works really well if you have a lot going on, so if you did a bunch of stickers sneezing on the background, you could do a lot of great things with vellum to help make that subtle. And you can also die cut the vellum, which is really nice. I tried to do that with this example, but I actually cut out all that footage because it was pretty bad. Nothing worked out the way I wanted it to. So I thought it was best to just start over. So I pull out a piece of vellum scrap piece that I had. That's going to be, I think it's 5.5 by about 3.5. And that's going to go down the center of the card. And you'll see here that I kind of switched this one up. I trimmed down the stamped image that we did. So now that's a little bit smaller. And then I used a piece of pattern paper from a new paper stack I got from my friend in a pocket letter. And I'm going to ink the edges of the stamped background and layer that on top of the spider paper, which luckily none of the spiders show, just the spider webs, which I think is cute. And it adds a lot despite it being so small on this card. And I'll do close-ups of all of them at the end, do not worry. And I'm going to grab some foam adhesive. I like doing this for some cards that I know I'm not going to be shipping, because I think sometimes thicker cards can get really messed up in the mail by accident, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I decided to, I'll hand this one out in person. So the vellum's cut down to match the size of the stamped background. And now I'm going to start embellishing. Now this one was a little bit harder, but I found these cute glitter pumpkins that I thought made the card a little less spooky. I'm not super into the spooky stuff, so I thought it'd be fun to use these two guys together. And again, once you glue something on top of the vellum, then you can turn it over and put adhesive on the back of the vellum where those items are covered up. I actually created a double piece here, or 2 clusters, if you will. If you treat a card like you do a layout, you're technically just creating clusters, but your cluster usually includes 1 sentiment. But some cards don't have to have sentiments. It's really, really up to you, and you can make so many great things with your scrapbooking supplies and have these cards on hand if you need them. I have this pattern paper again that my friend sent me in a lovely package, and I have that posted on my YouTube channel if you guys are interested in watching me unbox all those goodies. And I'll have that link down below if I can remember. But I cut out this tombstone that says "Let's Get Wicked," and I am going to create a cluster up there so I can have a nice sentiment on top. And what's really nice about using vellum is if you have a heavy word section, like here I did Fright Night all over the background, it's quite busy. So it's nice to have this vellum that really shuts some of that down and lets everything else breathe that's on top of it, so it doesn't seem as busy. So if you have busy pattern papers or busy anything, you could just layer some vellum with it and it tones it down quite a bit. So there's that one. And then for the last one, again, this is the mixed media cat background that we made. I'm going to do a vertical card here. Again, same sizes for all of them. So this one's 4.25 by 5.5 again. And I really like how this one came out. I decided to go with a cat theme. And so I pulled out my washi tape, and I also pulled out a cute little clip. So you'll see that in a little bit. But the first thing I do is actually trim down the vellum so there's a little border of the cats peeking through at full strength, because I didn't want a full vellum sheet on this one. So I pull out this cat paper clip medallion sort of looking embellishment, and I also pull out some of these Halloween stickers that I have. If you guys have a lot of Halloween supplies, I highly recommend making some cards with it. I know not everybody sends cards, so it's totally understandable if you don't know what you might do with those, but there's tons of crafty groups that do mailing lists for different locations, senior center homes or hospitals. So if you're interested, you could always donate your cards if you want to use up some of your extra supplies. Totally up to you though. So I pulled out one of those block stickers that says All Hallows Eve, as well as a little ghosty strip there. And then I also pull out some more stuff from my Halloween unboxing from Jana. And I have this little puffy ghost, and he's so cute, and I decided I have to use him. He's fuzzy, perfect. I also used a scallop circle punch out a piece of that spider paper, just so we had something the paper clip was holding on to, because the stickers were a little bit too flimsy to be part of that. And here's where I add adhesive on the back of that. And as you guys notice, the vellum's still not glued down, and now I can go in and add extra adhesive behind that. So those were my 4 ideas. I'm going to show you them close up in a second, but don't forget to check out Sarah's channel, link down below, so you can see what she made this month. These are really simple cards, guys. I promise you can do this with just pattern papers and toning them down with vellum, and it's really fun. So here is this card up close. I think I'm going to add some jewels after. I wasn't really thinking when doing this video that I wouldn't want, you know, enamel dots or something to spice it up, but I really did enjoy making these. I don't work with vellum very often, so it was fun to do that. So here are all 4 cards in person. They're a bit along the same lines, but they're also a bit different in their own ways. So here they are up close again, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know which one's your favorite. I think this bat one's my favorite by far because that glitter Happy Halloween wood veneer is so cute. But thanks guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!